And welcome back, everyone. We have a 2013 Nissan Altima, and we're going to get the rear brakes done on this vehicle. Now, this also applies from 2013 to 2015 models. So I've already gone ahead and did the brakes on the left side of the vehicle. That side was actually pretty bad. We had metal to metal contact with the brake pad against the rotor, and we still have a slight squeak while driving. So let's go ahead and get this side done and see what we can find. And right off the bat, you can see I'm having to pry these brake pads out, and the pad in the rear actually does not want to come out, as you can see. So that's not a good sign. Now, if you're not replacing your brake rotors and you're just changing your pads, this is pretty much as far as you have to go. But I highly recommend taking off the caliper bracket so you could clean any rust off of it, and also replacing the hardware, which is basically the metal shims that the brake pads slide back and forth on. Once you remove your brake caliper, do not leave it hanging from the brake hose. You could cause some damage. So you could always hang it up with some thick gauge wire or even a metal coat hanger. And this right here might be causing the squeak that we're having. I'm guessing that the brake pad is touching that layer of rust on the bottom. Putting some anti-seize on the hub will prevent the disc from sticking the next time you need to pull this brake rotor off. The brake pad should be able to slide freely back and forth, but what happens is rust builds up on the caliper bracket between the bracket and the brake hardware. So that creates extra friction on the brake pads and it no longer lets the brake pads move freely. So this is why it's so important to get the caliper bracket off and go at it with a file or a wire wheel, whatever you can. Just get all the rust off of it. Now keep in mind, you're not trying to take any material or any metal off of the bracket itself. You just want to get all of the rust off. Using a thin layer of water resistant lubricant on the caliper bracket itself before you put the hardware kit on is really going to help you to prevent all of that rust that we just filed off. Make sure to clean any excess grease that squeezes out. You don't want that to get on your brake rotor. Now we could go ahead and clean off the old grease off of our slide pins, and we're going to go ahead and reapply new grease to it. Now you can't use any type of grease on this. It has to be brake parts grease. So with the caliper bracket cleaned up and new hardware kit, let's see how easily these brake pads slide in. And look at that, no trouble at all. You should not need any tools to put your brake pads on. In order to fit the caliper over a new rotor and pads, you're going to have to compress the piston. And I just like to use the old brake pad and this tool that I have. You could get it at your local auto parts store. It's very inexpensive and it works great. Before you put your caliper on, you do not want to forget about your slide pin dust boots. And just for some added security, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of blue Loctite on these slide pins. And here's something that's really easy to forget. After you tighten down the slide pins, don't forget to put the dust boot over the slide pins. If you forget it, you're going to get water and other kind of contaminants inside the caliper bracket, and it's just going to lead to all kinds of problems. And that's pretty much it for getting the rear brakes done. So if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.